First question's from Kirsten Watson. Go ahead.
Thank you. Dave, all offseason you've said you've wanted JT back. How are you feeling and how happy are you right now to have him back?
Very, very excited, very pleased. It's something that, it's a perfect fit. It makes sense. He's comfortable. He's flourished here. The fan base, organization adores him, and it's mutual. So for it to finally get done, I know that it's a big relief for him, and now we can just go to work.
And with Kershaw's arrival yesterday, and now having the opportunity to see him as a world champion, does it feel like a burden has been lifted off of his shoulders?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, as any player, especially Clayton, with his individual track record, to ultimately, win a championship as a team, I think that is something that, doesn't need to be talked about anymore as far as not winning the big one. And so now he can kind of just look forward to prepare for 21. So to get him here, knowing his family is safe in Texas, it's very good for all of us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question from Dave Assay. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Number one, congratulations on Cole making the start tonight for LMU.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to try to figure out a way to stream the game. So, I'm going to make my way. So thank you, Dave.
I was going to ask you as well about Justin coming back. How much easier does he make your job just trying to get guys to understand what the decisions every day or big picture are trying to be made? And also with Kike and Jock leaving, having some of these new players, young players to buy into what you guys do and having Justin be an extension to that.
Yeah, I think that for me in particular, to have a player of his stature, his track record, the respect that he has in the clubhouse, the messaging is consistent, and which certainly helps the buy-in for players that are new to the organization. And I think for me is, two things. Justin really understands the importance and what it means to be a Major League Baseball player and all that it encompasses and the responsibilities, and also what it means to be a Dodger. And so, when you're part of this organization, it means a lot, and how you go about life on the field, off the field. And so to kind of continue to live that day in and day out, it just makes everyone better, and myself included.
Along those same lines, what do you believe the dynamics are? How are the dynamics going to adjust without having Kike and Jock and incorporating younger players now to be those type of players for you?
Well, the great thing about our organization is it's always kind of a reload. And I say that because the guys that are going to supplant Kike and Jock potentially are guys that really know what we're about. And so, when you're talking about Gavin Lux, Edwin Rios, Matt Beatty, Zach McKinstry, these guys, just to name a few, are guys that already understand what we're about. So the transition, I expect to be pretty seamless.
Thank you.
Next question is from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Dave, last year with Justin, you guys got to use the DH quite a bit with him. Now that it looks like that's not going to be an option, I'm just wondering, playing time, do you envision maybe having him down a bit more, maybe having him at first base a bit? Anything different this year with his playing time?
I think that I don't see first base. Certainly with the DH and not having it night in and night out is something that will be different. It's certainly nice to have Edwin. I think what it'll mean is directly impacting Edwin as far as getting more at bats, which he needs some runway. He's earned it. And Justin is very aware of, the days off once in a while to keep him fresh throughout a major league season.
Have any of these guys stood out? Anybody in particular stand out in these first couple of days with the bullpens? You mentioned, kind of Jimmy Nelson yesterday as being a guy your top 8, but is anybody that sort of stood out?
Honestly, we've had 2 really good days of pens, and all the guys, I think, outside of a couple of guys that haven't thrown, but there's a lot of good names, a lot of good arms from guys, like Corey Knebel, who threw today, to Miller to Pepio to, Vesia, who threw yesterday. There's a lot of good arms. Clevenger, who we traded for from the Phillies. So just really encouraging what we've seen so far.
Well, you mentioned, like I said, you mentioned Nelson yesterday. Is that the type of thing where he'll have to make the team as a, could he be a bullpen option for you guys? Could he, star in AAA? Like, what kind of thing? What do you envision with Jimmy Nelson?
Yeah, I think right now it's a little too early to tell. I think that we're just of the mind that he's a starter, and we want to build him up accordingly.
And then Knievel, obviously a guy who has a lot of closer experience, had that great year in Milwaukee. What do you envision with him?
I think Corey, we'll see him in the pen, and he's going to pitch leverage innings for us. And I think that where we're at right now, leverage isn't really inning particular outside of the ninth inning, but he's going to pitch leverage innings for us, and he had a good pen today.
Thank you.
Next question's from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead.
Dave, I see you have Ron Renicky on the field with you this spring. What is he bringing?
He brings a wealth of knowledge, a lot of energy, and eagerness to teach and learn. He is a Dodger, came up with the Dodgers, and so to get him back home in this organization, I know he's excited. Get him and Dino Ebel reunited, and so he's going to do a lot of things. Whether it's on the outfield base running with Jason Bourgeois, the outfield base running coordinator. He's going to coach the coaches. He's going to help us on the big league staff. He's going to do some eye in the sky in the front office. So we're just lucky to have him. So he's going to wear a lot of hats, but there's just a wealth of knowledge that I'm excited for myself and the players to tap into.
It's going to be about 16 months between regular season starts for David Price. How do you think that downtime is going to affect him?
I think if anything, it'll affect him on the positive side as far as on the physical. I think on the emotional side, I think that there's going to be some adrenaline, some nerves, which is to be expected. But I think David, he had a good pen yesterday, and I know he's willing to help us in any way. And just to kind of get him back working with our guys is just a benefit to everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next question's from Rowan Kavner. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. Speaking of David, did you get the sense last year how difficult it was for him to be away from everything, especially with all the success everyone was having? And then were you impressed with his ability to still kind of stay in touch with players and teammates throughout that time?
Not surprised with his ability to stay connected. And also a decision he made for him and his family. That's something that I've gone on record many times over saying that, we all respect it. I do think it was difficult for him to not be a part of it. But a credit to him as a teammate, he was always rooting us on. But I think to have somebody that wasn't with us day in and day out, with his track record and the respect that he has in that clubhouse is only beneficial to a team that's looking to do the same thing in this year.
Next question's from Mike DiGiovanna. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, I was going to ask you kind of what Plunk just asked, but to follow, with that long a layoff, as much as the health benefits are good for him, what will the challenges be to regain that precision, that game-like precision he needs? Is it almost like a guy coming off Tommy John surgery with that long a layoff?
Yeah, I think that, he's thrown a lot this winter. He looks sharp right now. He's a guy that has pitched for a long time, knows his delivery, knows his pitch mix inside and out. There is a competition component that we don't know until we know, but certainly Dave is an easy guy to bet on. And I think as far as workload, I just don't think anyone has that answer right now. Whether it's Clayton, Julio, or David, I don't think that we can really speak to what is the ideal optimum amount of innings. So that's something that we just got to continue having these conversations. And number one, keep them healthy. and pitching well, number two. So, and that's something that these are conversations we're going to have, we have every day.
Thanks.
Got time for one more. Go ahead, one.
Hey Dave, just kind of sticking with the Pens. What did you see out of Brandon Moore? Obviously, he's fighting to come back from some injuries, and where does he kind of fit in all of this?
BMO is, we know what he can do. A lot of respect, and so he's healthy. Threw a really good pen today. I know he's happy to be back in a Dodger uniform. So I think for us is just continue to build him up as a leverage reliever, and in the coming weeks we'll know more. But just to have him healthy, we know what he can do when he is healthy.